Right, today, this video, we're talking about adapting to circumstances, making you adapting. We can say be present, question all values and morals and your character traits, everything you believe, your standards of what's right and wrong. Pain, emotional pain and suffering that everybody endures from time to time at least, if not on a constant basis, is really something that is unnecessary and self-inflicted. And we can actually live a life with a far less amount of emotional pain and suffering. So let's work today on how to significantly reduce, because I won't promise you can eliminate it, but at least I can promise you that our methods will significantly reduce the amount of pain and suffering you have in your life. The first premise, again, the first law or commandment in our religion is take full responsibility for everything in your life. One of these days I'll make up a second law, but for now the first one seems to be working out all the time, isn't it? Pretty versatile law, that one is. And logical. Anyway. And that includes your pain and suffering. Remember, the beginning of all our courses and programs goes to understanding words and end to conflict and anger, right? We have the small book on the website, small ebook on the website you can download, and that talks about it in more detail, so I'm not going to go into it, and there's some videos on that as well, on that topic. But how, the essence is how your understanding and interpretation of things people say and do is actually you picking up that knife and sticking it in your own heart, rather than anyone actually attacking you. So, being responsible for your life includes taking responsibility for your opinions, values, morals, and so on, rather than saying, well, this is what we do, meaning my family, my culture, my religion, or any of these things. People do certain things and say, well, that's what we do. Excuse me, we? You Siamese twins to a million other people or a billion other people of your religion? Are you attached at a particular organ aside from the mind? You're attached through your mind, not Siamese twin joined at the shoulder. And so we're trying to show you how to cut that tie. Not so you're isolated, but so that you're no longer controlled. And if you are no longer controlled, you are not limited. If you are not limited, your mind will become free of mental manipulations, which is the source of your pain and suffering. We have to adapt to circumstances if we want to be happy and successful in all situations. We have to adapt to the weather, the climate, the location, the language, the foods as you travel. And if you do not adapt easily, you suffer, right? It's difficult. And anybody who's, that country or that trip was very difficult for me. Oh, the type of food they eat or the weather, blah, 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 is very difficult. Excuse me, just adapt. And if you eat the food like they eat the food, well, then you would have eaten the food and you'd be fine. But you can't, because you can't adapt. It's wrong to eat your own dog. That's what most Westerners think. I remember in New Zealand there was a Tongan guy living there, and he ate his dog. And what an outcry! He ate his dog! Oh my God! What kind of an animal is he? He ate his dog! And he says, in Tonga we eat dog. You eat your sheep, You eat your cow, you eat your fish, and you say, oh, but your dog is your pet. It's part of your family. Not my dog. My dog is like your sheep and your cows. I raised them to eat them. Or your goose or your duck or your chicken. But it's a dog. So in New Zealand, they seem to like their dogs better than they do their own kids sometimes, I think. No, what an outcry. They couldn't accept it. Poor fellow. Got persecuted. Why? Because everyone has all their fixed opinions and will not adapt to the circumstances that this man sees dog as meat, as food. Your morals and values, character traits, everything about you creates your own pain and suffering because they create separation as much as Christians, Jews, and Muslims are separated and hate each other because they're Christian, Jew, or Muslim. So just because you may not be one of those three, or you may not, or at least think, you may not have a religious prejudice, because you might actually have one even though you don't admit it, doesn't mean you're not filled with other equally powerful prejudices to hurt your life, to limit you, to cause you pain and suffering. So what we're talking about today is how to disassemble, destroy, and discard everything about you so that you can reconstruct, as you would demolish an old worn-out building that leaks, that, the pipes leak, the roof leaks, the windows are broken. Demolish it, discard the rubble, and build a new one with good windows, good roof, good insulation, so on, so that you have a happier life. Because if you lived in a very cold winter climate, in a house without air conditioning, without sealed windows, without heating, in a roof that leaks, you will not be a happy person. But if you're living in a very comfortable, well-built house, which is warm and comfy and dry, you'll be a very happy person. So your house is your mind. Now let's go to Buddha. And what Buddha said upon his enlightenment, "O house builder, I have seen you, and you will not build another house for me." So the Buddha used the analogy of a house for his human body and said, now I have seen who actually keeps creating a new human body for me to reincarnate within. And now that I have seen you, I'm not going to let you build a new house, a new body, a new reincarnation life for me. And I, the essence of my being, am now free. I will no longer be trapped in this human body, house. So this is what I'm trying to help you do, is see the house builder and discard the house by building a new house for while you remain alive, such that when this house gets worn out through old age, you are free. But the house you currently live in, again, the mind, right, your personality, is going to keep you trapped life after life after life. Okay? Forget reincarnation. All of this is rubbish, let's assume, okay? Let's just deal with this life, okay? Forget if there's reincarnation or freedom after this life, or you go to heaven or hell or whatever it is. Forget it. Let's just demolish your crappy old house and build a nice new one. So, your house is your mind. Your mind is a formation of fixed opinions. If you wish to build a new house, you have to discard all of your fixed opinions so that you can choose new opinions, but let your opinions not be fixed. Let them be flexible. Let them be adaptive to each situation. And then you will find a greater freedom. So, what we need to do for the exercise is every resistance, every opinion you have, in other words, every single time you have the thought of right or wrong about anything, that you see something and say, this is right or this is wrong, That's a fixed opinion which must be discarded. You discard it and then re-examine objectively the situation by searching for the original creation and reason that opinion was created. If we're going to make a very blatant prejudice statement that blacks in America are violent and dangerous, okay, I'll discard that opinion, and then I'll go to Washington, D.C. or Harlem, New York, in the all-black neighborhood, and let's see if I survive. And then, you know what? Maybe not all blacks, but you know what? Blacks in some neighborhoods, it's pretty bad, because when you go through those neighborhoods, you don't hear cars backfiring, you hear gunshots all the time. And that's a fact. It's a war zone in those areas. It's a fact. So if I go in those cities and I'm in a black neighborhood, then my prejudice is correct. But let me go to a town in Canada or Colorado, Denver, for example, then that prejudice is not correct. Because over there, their blacks are nice, no problem. None of a problem. They're not violent. It's not a good chance you'll get shot or mugged or killed. So we have to question everything and see the validity of it, and then say it's valid to have that opinion of blacks in New York or Washington, D.C., but it is not valid to have that opinion of blacks in any Canadian city or in Denver, Colorado, for example, or California. And that's how you can have an opinion which is not fixed. Because my opinion changes depending on the circumstances. So I don't like tomatoes. That's an opinion. And it's not a fixed opinion. It used to be a fixed opinion when I was younger. Tomatoes, no way. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to touch it. Then it was a fixed opinion. I questioned and I started examining it. And I discovered there's actually a lot of different kinds of tomatoes. There's the hydroponic tomatoes. There is the organic tomato. There is many different species of tomatoes. There are the commercially grown tomatoes. And what I discovered is commercially grown tomatoes or hydroponic tomatoes have no flavor whatsoever. They are absolutely cardboard to eat. But some organically grown tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, sweet and delicious. So now I have an opinion that I do not like tomatoes if they are the commercially grown ones, but I do like tomatoes if they're cherry tomatoes or organic ones. So you see, I've got two opinions instead of one. But I've got an opinion about tomatoes. But it's not fixed. So if you give me a salad with tomatoes, I'm going to look at them and I'm either going to pick them out or I'm going to eat them. But I'm not going to say, when I order my salad, say, don't give me tomatoes. Because I don't know which ones I'm going to get. Very simple examples that you need to apply to every moment of your life when there is ever a single thought of a blatant yes, no, good, bad. You have to explore it. And as you go through your day-to-day activities and re-examine every single blatant fixed opinion, you are starting to break down the limitations of the controls of religions, politics, cultures, everything. Because you are opening your mind in general. And you are learning the habit, if you do this long enough and consistently enough, the habit of examining everything without having a fixed opinion. That's adapting to circumstances. And in this way, you will end all suffering. You go on a date, first date. You order the salad. You get the salad with tomatoes. Disgusting, I hate tomatoes. And your date says, oh, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Person's freaking out because there are tomatoes there. Because you see, your date actually follows my teaching. So he's like, oh, okay, this one's a bit of a fanatic, fixed opinions. Doesn't just like, okay, there's tomatoes. Are these the kinds I like? Yeah, I like these, or I don't like these. Okay, just put them aside. No. Instead, he goes, oh, I hate tomatoes. They're disgusting. That's first date, last date, right? So how much are you living your life with fixed opinions to which you believe are valid and affecting the way other people see you? How many times through your normal course of a day are you creating an image that somebody else is going to form an opinion about you? What is that opinion they will form about you? All right? So we need to totally disassemble, step by step, everything about ourselves, every fixed opinion, because that's your mind. Your mind is the house to which you live in. So we must destroy that house. And you will find less pain and suffering, better friendships, greater acceptance of you everywhere you go, better harmony at work, and an open mind that's far more creative to solve your difficulties and problems in life and not be so stuck when you just don't know what to do. To actually be able to make your decisions and move forward with everything. Okay? So fixed opinions are poison, and they must all be removed and replaced with opinions which are flexible and adapt to the circumstances and situation at each moment, which is unique from other absolutely identical but not quite the same other situations. Okay?
David, I have a question.
Yes.
How do we find all these fixed opinions? Is it just whenever we have a reaction, no matter where we are, eating with friends, by ourselves, whenever we have a reaction to something, is that the clue we have a fixed opinion?
Well, yes, that's what I said. It's every time you think this is good, this is bad, which would be your reaction, that is the surfacing of a fixed opinion about what is happening at that moment. And as you catch yourself with that feeling or thought, you must put in the effort to catch it and say, no, this is poison. This is a thought of an old, decrepit, leaking house. And I must now stop myself from having this fixed opinion and say, let me question deeper with the mind that wants to understand the other person and understand their feelings, their reasons, their why they said that. And I might turn out that my fixed opinion was right. But let me open my mind to question rather than argue, debate, or refute. To find out what's what, not who is right. See, this is a problem with you humans. You're generally debating and arguing to see who is right. No, it's not who is right. It is what is right. So I question to find out, is your opinion right or my opinion right? Because it's not a matter of you are right or I am right, because then it's ego. We don't want to develop our egos. We want to find objective truth at the moment. Does that answer you?
So if we meet some a person from a different culture as we pass them by in the mall, for example, we might have an automatic opinion about that person just because of the racial type. Is that the instance where we go, hold on, I'm in this country, I'm in this situation, it's not the same as what I'm used to, let me open my mind and see and re-examine?
Okay, so if you're in Saudi Arabia and all the women are all in their black garbs and all of that, and you see a man with 4 wives, and all of them are covered and veiled, you cannot criticize that. That is not wrong. Because if he let his women dress like a Western girl, they'd all probably be executed, but for sure they're going to have trouble. Now, if that man brings his 4 wives to America or New Zealand or, a Western country, and he still enforces them to dress that way, now we can say that man is an egoistic, narrow-minded, controlling asshole. Because if that same man does it in Saudi, he's protecting his women from being attacked and ridiculed. He might say, if I let them dress normally, I'm going to lose my job. Then how do I support them? So there he's valid. And we don't know the man, so we don't know if he's doing it because this is the only way to survive in that country, or because he's an arrogant, overbearing, controlling ass. But if he immigrates to a Western country and he forces those women to still do the same, then yes, we can say he's a guy I really don't respect because he doesn't respect these women. So that's how you do it. It's not what is happening entirely, but what is happening in the situation, considering all circumstances involved in that situation.
Another example, I had a laksa for lunch, and I took basically one sniff of it, and I knew I was not going to touch that. I was repulsed by the flavor, the smell. Is that a fixed opinion, or is that just my preference? No big deal, no problem.
It's not a fixed opinion, but it is a personal preference. So since many people love eating laksa in Malaysia, and other countries probably, you cannot say laksa is disgusting. And if you have the opinion that laksa is disgusting, then that's a fixed opinion. But if you say, boy, I know they love laksa, but I can't stand the taste of it, and that is because I didn't grow up with these particular spices and flavors and food. So I'm not used to it. My palate is so totally trained, totally different. What I have learned is that my taste buds, which is so different than a Malaysian taste buds, is a fixed opinion. So I will not personally enjoy it, although I know that if I ate it every day or often enough, I could actually get used to it because it's a learnt opinion. And it only becomes fixed if you are certain you will never ever like it and that it is disgusting. But if you say right now they love it, okay, it has to be good to eat. Some people love it. I personally cannot stand the taste or smell, but I know that given the choice, if that was all I had to eat and I was served it on a relatively regular basis, I would actually be able to adapt to it and it wouldn't be so bad eventually, and eventually I may like it. So then that's an opinion that is open, an objective sense of reality that says, although I don't like it and I do not want to eat it today, I know that I could eat it and like it given the opportunity. So it is a current opinion that should not be fixed because I know that it could change in time.
And then it becomes my responsibility to exercise and explore that just for my own challenge, just to make sure I do not become fixed.
If you want to, it's up to you.
Yeah.
You can, or you can stay with your opinion of laksa and eat something else.
Thanks.
Okay?
Good.
All right, okay. So that should be enough for you. Ask any questions anytime. All right, bye-bye.